Okay, so let's just jump right in. Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're unpacking a narrative that is, well, it's just brutal. We're taking a really intense look into the American frontier in the 19th century.
And this is far more than just a survival story. We're really treating this as a case study in how everything can go wrong.
Everything.
It's about how ambition and, that immediate financial pressure and some really deep personal failings all just converge.
Yeah.
And they turn what was already a risky expedition into an absolute catastrophe.
And the sources we're using, they just drop you right in. There's no slow build. You're immediately in the chaos right after this huge attack on a fur company.
Right.
And you're forced to sort of grapple with these life or death decisions in real time just by listening to the dialogue.
Yeah, our whole mission here is to really dissect that high-pressure environment.
Yeah.
I mean, you start with a party of 45 experienced trappers.
45.
And by the end, you're down to, what, 10 survivors?
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah.
So we need to understand the strategy, the money, and the moral calculus that decided who lived, who died.
And why one man, Hugh Glass, was just left for dead.
Exactly. It's about just the immense weight of survival on that Missouri River frontier.
And we have to start with the economics. We really do,
Yeah.
because it dictates literally everything that happens later.
It's the foundation of the whole conflict.
Even before the attack, you can hear the captain is just obsessed with maximizing the profit.
Mm-hmm.
He's pushing his men to change how they pack the beaver pelts.
And that one decision, right there, it sets the stage for so much of the risk that follows. Normally, they would bundle pelts into, manageable 15 pelt bales.
Right, easy to handle, easy to move.
But the captain pushes them. He demands they start making these massive 30 pelt bales, doubling the size.
Which signals this really aggressive, almost. It feels desperate. A desperate push for every last cent of profit.
And you have to think about what that physically means. A prime beaver pelt, even dried, is a few pounds. So you bundle 30 of them together.
You're talking about a bale that's what, 80, maybe 100 pounds?
At least. So they're overloading the boat, they're making it slower, less agile.
All for the profit margin, but they're doing it in what is essentially enemy territory.
And that choice, it just raises the emotional stakes for everyone. You hear it later from Fitzgerald, one of the trappers. He says it so clearly. He says, I just got living through these pelts.
That's it, isn't it? It's not just profit, it's life. It's the ticket out.
It's their retirement. It's their one chance at a stable life away from all this.
So when that fortune is suddenly threatened, you can see how that desperation just infects every single choice they make.
It becomes a zero-sum game. A life for a bale. For Fitzgerald, that's not even a question. The bale is his life.
It's just the perfect, brutal irony of it all. They risk their lives for months to get this incredible wealth.
And the sheer size of that wealth makes them slow and vulnerable and a much, much bigger target.
That cargo is like a giant magnet for disaster.
And that's the pivot point. The switch from aggressive profit-seeking to just, desperate survival.
Yeah.
That's what breaks this group.
And that break happens immediately, which brings us to our first section, the ambush and the strategic retreat.
Yeah, the source material just throws you straight into it. There's no warning. It's just a sudden, terrifying eruption of violence.
It's pure chaos. You just hear these fragments of dialogue, men trying to figure out where the attack is coming from, trying to protect each other.
But the scale of it is just, it's immediately devastating. You hear them yelling, "They got Thomas!"
And then you hear the captain's voice trying to get a handle on it, saying, we already lost 32 men.
And then, like a second later, he has to correct himself. It's 33 now.
It's happening that fast.
It tells you the attackers, who we understand to be the Ree or the Arikara, they were incredibly well coordinated.
And the trappers were just completely caught by surprise.
And in the middle of all that chaos, one command cuts through. They want the pelts.
So it's not random. It's a targeted strike right at the economic heart of their operation.
Exactly. And knowing that the cargo is the target, that's what drives the whole strategic debate that follows. They're pinned down on the Missouri River.
Which, at this point in time, is basically an Arikara highway. They own that stretch of water.
It's a death trap. And this is where you see Hugh Glass, the guide. His expertise is just indispensable.
He sees it immediately. He says the Missouri is no good.
Because the Reeser's running it. There's no way forward on the water.
So his plan is, it's radical.
It's completely radical.
Yeah.
He tells the captain they have to sacrifice everything. Get off the boat, set it loose downriver as a huge decoy.
And just hike inland. The idea is to buy themselves time while the Arikara track the boat, thinking the pelts are still on it.
And the captain agrees. He gives the order. Stow these pelts and get rid of the boat before dark.
Think about that. You've got maybe an hour or two of daylight left, and you have to unload dozens of these 100-pound bales, hide them under some rocks, and push your only way home out into the current.
It's a moment where a fortune is just.
Yeah.
It's abandoned, intentionally, all for a slim chance of surviving a brutal overland trek.
It's them finally admitting that their whole profit-first strategy was a fatal mistake.
They chose profit over security, and now they have to throw the profit away just to have a chance to live. But the consequence of that, the weeks of extra travel through unknown land, that's what fuels Fitzgerald.
He just erupts.
Completely. He might see the strategy in it, but what he feels is the loss. 6 months of just hellish work gone.
And he calls it a goddamn mistake. His anxiety over money just turns into pure rage.
He needed that money, and now it's gone, and he needs someone to blame.
You can't blame the captain, not really.
No, so he turns all of that hostility onto Glass, the guide, the man whose advice got them into this mess in his eyes.
And this is where it gets really, really ugly. The racism, the prejudice, it just comes pouring out.
He immediately starts questioning Glass's loyalty. How did the Ree get the dead drop on us if Glass was supposed to be their scout?
And he uses this awful, charged language to just try and dismantle Glass's authority. He calls his son Hawk, the little half-breed son.
He questions his mother. He calls Hawk a little dog. This isn't just anger. It's a calculated move.
He's trying to break the group's unity. He's planting the seed that Glass, the man whose plan they're all following, is compromised.
He even floats this dark conspiracy theory, right, about Glass having lived with native tribes before. He asks him, shot one of your own to save this little dog here.
It's an active campaign of sowing distrust. He's basically saying Glass's knowledge of the land is less important than his perceived racial impurity.
And think about what a liability that is in a survival situation. The one man who knows the way to Fort Kiowa is being systematically stripped of his authority.
And Glass's advice to his son, Hawk, is just heartbreaking.
It is.
Be invisible. Keep your mouth shut.
And he explains why. He says, they don't hear your voice. They just see the color of your face.
Which confirms it right there. Fitzgerald's racism isn't just a personal failing. He's using it as a weapon to gain control. He's already dehumanized them, which makes it easier for him to sacrifice them later.
And before we follow them inland, we have to touch on this other crucial piece of the story, the parallel quest, the Arikara motive.
Right. The source gives us this brief but incredibly important scene from the attacker's camp right after the ambush.
And it just completely shatters that simple narrative of, white traders versus native bandits.
Yeah, because the Arikara leader says very plainly, my daughter, Powaka, is not here.
It changes everything. The attack wasn't just about pelts. It was rooted in this profound personal loss. His daughter was abducted by 2 white men.
So they aren't just reading for goods, they're trying to fund a rescue mission.
He says it himself. They'll trade pelts with the French for horses and keep searching for her. The pelts they just stole are currency to get the tools they need to find his daughter.
So the violence we just saw was driven by a need for justice, not just greed.
The moral ambiguity is just crushing. You have the trappers driven by their greed for pelts.
And you have the Arikara driven to get those same pelts to find a lost child.
It's a cycle of violence. Each side is reacting to a deep injury inflicted by the other, and you just know right then that the search for Powaka is going to intersect with Glass's own story later on. It has to.
So they abandon the boat. The immediate threat from the Ree might be gone, but they've just traded one danger for another.
Oh, absolutely. The unforgiving wilderness. And that leads us right into the next disaster, the grisly attack and the calculus of survival.
And this event is maybe the most just viscerally horrifying part of the whole narrative.
It happens so fast. The attack on Glass is immediate, it's shocking, and it's triggered by something so simple, a warning shout. There are cubs here.
And then it's just chaos, Christ almighty, men running. The sources really convey the sheer brute force of nature that they're up against.
The captain immediately snaps into battlefield triage mode.
Right. He's calling for rags before he bleeds out, demanding someone start stitching, telling young Bridger to just hold that.
The severity of Glass's injuries is just. It's catastrophic. He's torn apart. He can't walk, can't even stand. And in that instant, he goes from being the group's guide
to its greatest liability.
And Fitzgerald's cynicism just comes right to the surface.
No hesitation.
None. The man who's motivated by a quick payday and a trip to Texas sees Glass as this huge screaming problem. He says they should finish him off quick.
Arguing he'll be dead inside an hour anyway.
But his real concern is more practical and more selfish. Glass's wailing is going to alert enemies. So in Fitzgerald's mind, the injured man is now an existential threat to the whole group.
And the land itself just reinforces his argument. It's rough, difficult terrain. Glass is burning up with fever.
They try to carry him, but you can't carry a 200-pound man plus your own 80-pound pack across miles of wilderness. It's just not sustainable.
And you hear one of the men just cry out, "It's killing us, Captain."
And that's the moment for Captain Henry. He's facing this excruciating moral dilemma. He has a duty to Glass, but he also has a duty to the rest of his men.
The classic utilitarian problem, the needs of the many versus the one.
And if he keeps carrying Glass, more men will die. The entire mission to reach Fort Kiowa is jeopardized.
So he hits that tipping point, utility wins, he tries to order a mercy killing.
It's a quiet order, almost a euphemism. He tells Bridger to lay the rag over his eyes.
But Bridger refuses.
And his refusal isn't just about compassion. It's strategic.
It's the coldest, hardest fact. He says only he knows the way.
Exactly. Glass isn't just a man at this point. He's their map. He's their institutional knowledge. Without him, they are all truly lost.
Killing him might save them a day's hard labor, but it would doom them all in the long run.
So Henry's trapped. He can't kill Glass, but he can't carry him, which leads to this extraordinary compromise, the $300 incentive and the guard detail.
He has to basically buy a solution, sacrifice a few men to wait with Glass to increase the odds for the main group.
He starts with a standard company bonus, what, $70?
Yeah, but that's not nearly enough for this. So he has to escalate it. $100 per man, plus Glasses and Hawk shares from the expedition.
A total of $300. And we need to pause on that number. $300 in the 1820s.
It's a fortune. It's a year's wages for a skilled worker back east. It could be $10,000, $12,000 in today's money.
It's an astronomical price for a simple task. Wait for a dying man to die and give him a burial.
It's the moment the captain puts a literal price on a man's life.
And the three men who step up, they just represent the whole moral spectrum of the group.
You've got Fitzgerald, who's purely in it for the money. That $300 is the replacement for his lost pelts. It's his Texas retirement plan.
Then you have Hawk, Glass's son. He's there out of pure duty. No amount of money would change his decision.
And then there's Bridger.
Yeah, Bridger. He's the youngest, and he's sort of the conscience of the group, or he's trying to be. He says, money or not, I'll stay.
But he's weak. He's impressionable. And Fitzgerald sees that immediately.
Oh, he clocks it right away.
So the captain gives his final order. It's almost a plea for decency. Care for Glass as long as necessary, and give him a proper burial when it's time.
He's hoping the money, plus that moral directive, will be enough.
But he's paying Fitzgerald in gold and hoping he'll act with honor.
And you just know, right then, that contract is doomed. Fitzgerald will only stick to the letter of the law. Stay until Glass is dead, or until he can get that money and run.
And the second the main group is out of sight, it all falls apart. Which brings us to the betrayal and the fight to keep breathing.
Fitzgerald knows that Glass is tough. He might linger for days, even weeks, and his patience isn't going to last that long.
His Texas dream depends on Glass dying quickly.
Or at least being declared dead.
Right.
Waiting around is not part of the plan. So he immediately starts this psychological war.
And it's aimed at both Glass and Bridger.
Right. He tells this incredibly vivid, terrifying story about the time he was scalped.
He describes the sound of the knife, the attackers laughing, the blood.
It's a horrifying story. And it serves two very specific, very manipulative purposes.
For Glass, it's meant to terrify him into giving up, to paint this picture of the horrible death that's waiting for him if the Ree find him.
And for Bridger, it's meant to normalize the brutality of it all, to suggest that a quick, clean death is so much better than being captured. It makes the idea of abandoning Glass later on easier to swallow.
And his pressure on Glass is just clinical. He tells the paralyzed man that a quick death would be better for all of us.
He even offers to do it quietly. No one ever has to know that you give up. He asks for a sign. Just blink.
But Glass doesn't blink. He refuses to give up that will to live.
So when he can't convince Glass to die, Fitzgerald moves on to his next target, Bridger. He needs to get Bridger to run.
And he knows fear is the way to do it.
So he just invents an attack. He lies. He tells Bridger there are about 20 of them down by the creek, and they're headed this way.
And that's the turning point. He's not using money anymore. He's using sheer terror to get that young, inexperienced kid to abandon his post.
But before he can get them to leave, Hawk intervenes.
Glass is watching this whole thing, right? He's paralyzed, but he can see Fitzgerald trying to suffocate him or maybe just drag him into a shallow grave.
And Hawk steps in to protect his father. He confronts Fitzgerald.
And the argument is very short.
It ends with a knife. Fitzgerald stabbed my boy to death.
Mm-hmm.
Hawk was a witness, and he was in the way of the $300.
And the absolute horror for Glass is that he's powerless. He can't move, can't shout, can't do anything but watch his son be murdered.
In total silence.
Once Hawk is dead, Fitzgerald uses that fake re-threat to get Bridger moving immediately. "We got no fucking choice," he says.
And Bridger's torn up about it, you know? He says, we can't just leave them, but Fitzgerald just dismisses it. He tells Bridger that Glass is on his own now anyway.
And that the re will get him sooner or later.
And Bridger, terrified and believing the lie, he goes along with it. Fitzgerald has successfully used murder and deception to secure his payday.
And in that moment of just total devastation, Glass has to turn inward. He has nothing left. No son, no mobility, no companions.
So he looks for an anchor, and he finds it in a memory of his wife. This is the source of his survival.
It's the philosophical core of the whole story, really. This analogy his wife taught him.
It's beautiful. She told him, the wind cannot defeat a tree with strong roots.
If you just look at the branches in a storm, she said, you swear it will fall.
But the stability is in the trunk. The message is to focus on your core, on what's essential and unmoving.
So Glass, broken and left for dead, decides to be that trunk. His wife's mantra becomes his own. Breathe. Keep breathing.
Survival becomes this pure act of internal will. It's fueled by memory and now by this raw, silent need for vengeance.
And the contrast between him and Fitzgerald is just so stark.
Oh, completely. Fitzgerald is the brittle branch. He's defined by all these external things. The money, the land in Texas, the fear of the re. He just snaps under pressure.
But Glass, who has been stripped of everything external, he roots down. That wind of betrayal doesn't break him, it transforms him.
It kills his old life and gives birth to this relentless engine of retribution.
It's just astonishing that he survives, that journey he makes.
Yeah.
It's not just about physical survival anymore, it's an epic quest.
Right, so while Glass is on this agonizing journey back from the dead, all the other pieces on the board are still moving.
And the timeline has to converge somewhere. It starts with that French post encounter, the search for Puaka.
Which just adds this whole other layer to the conflict. The Arikara group, the ones who ambushed the trappers, they show up at a French trading post.
To make the trade they planned. Pelts for horses and rifles.
And the negotiation with the post owner, a man named Toussaint, it's very revealing.
Toussaint tries to short them on the horses.
But the Arikara leader just immediately starts speaking fluent French. It completely wrongfoots the trader. It shows he understands their world, and he sees the dishonor in what Toussaint is trying to do.
And he confronts him not just as a raider, but as an equal. As someone demanding justice. He says, white men have stolen everything from us.
The land, the animals, and his daughter Puaka.
He makes it so clear. This isn't just about commerce. This is about honor. He says, we leave you these pelts because honor demands it. I take your horses to find my daughter.
He forces the trade. He gets his 5 horses. And it just reinforces that his mission is about retribution, not profit. They aren't just antagonists. They're men driven by a specific profound loss, just like Glass.
And at the same time, miles away, you have the return to the fort.
Bridger and Fitzgerald finally make it to Fort Kiowa, and Fitzgerald immediately starts spinning his web of lies to get that $300.
And he's good at it. He's so smooth and convincing.
He tells his whole story about a heroic burial. He says Hawk just disappeared, and then he and Bridger dug a grave for Glass, a little deeper, laid rocks on it.
He even says Bridger built a cross. He adds these little details to make it all sound so real.
And he's manipulating Bridger at the same time. He publicly praises him, calls him his partner, who more than pulled his weight.
Which is brilliant in a horrible way. He secures the money, and he buys Bridger's silence with shared guilt and some false praise.
It works perfectly.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald gets the $300. He's celebrating. He's talking about his retirement in Texas, where he'll find me a decent piece of land and start pissing in the wind.
He thinks he's gotten away with it completely.
The whole deception seems airtight, until, of course, the revelation.
An injured French trapper stumbles into the fort.
And he's got a story. His men were killed, and his horses were stolen. And the horses had an American brand.
And the location, near the Yellowstone, connects it right back to the ambush site. The captain immediately puts a pursuit party together. He thinks it must be some of the men who deserted earlier.
He even speculates it could have been Hawk. He has no idea what's really happened.
But just as he's about to ride out, the truth literally walks through the door.
Alas, he's alive. Battered, scarred, but alive.
Yeah.
He is the living proof that Fitzgerald's entire story was a lie.
And Bridger, when he sees him, he just crumbles.
Immediately. The guilt is just too much. He confesses everything. The fake re-attack, what really happened to Hawk, all of it.
So Captain Henry's mission changes instantly. He's no longer hunting horse thieves. He's hunting Fitzgerald for murder.
But Glass, who can barely stand, insists on going with him. He tells the captain, "You'll never find him without me."
His motivation is just. It's become his only reason to live. Survival was phase 1. This is phase 2.
He tells the captain, "All I had was that boy, and he took him away from me." And then he says that incredible line.
I ain't afraid to die anymore. I'd done it already.
His commitment is total. He's become that stable trunk. He can't be broken now.
And so the pursuit begins. They track Fitzgerald, and they find his abandoned horse. They know he's on foot.
He's maybe half a day ahead. The trapper has officially become the prey, and all the momentum has shifted to Glass. The chase all comes down to this final, brutal confrontation. And this last section is really about the failure of any kind of official law out there on the frontier.
Right. It's the triumph of personal justice. Captain Henry, who's still trying to do things by the book, he finds Fitzgerald first.
He confronts him. He says, "I'm here to take you back to Fort Kiowa, where you will be tried for murder." He's trying to enforce the company's law.
But Fitzgerald is a cornered animal. He's got his $300. He's got Texas in his sights. He's not going to be taken alive.
He resists, and the confrontation is tragically short. Fitzgerald kills the captain and escapes again.
So Henry, who represented order, who represented the rules, his death just confirms it. Out here, the only justice that's left is the kind Glass is carrying with him.
And Glass arrives to find his last ally dead, which just reinforces that he has to do this himself. He keeps tracking Fitzgerald relentlessly.
Until he finally confronts him one-on-one out in the snow.
And Fitzgerald, he knows it's over. But he tries one last time to bargain, to justify what he did.
He pleads with Glass. We had a deal, Glass. I was supposed to stay until you died.
He tries to rationalize Hawk's murder, saying he kept on screaming it was going to get everybody killed. He's trying to frame it as a necessary evil.
But when that doesn't work, he goes right back to his ugliest weapon. Racism.
That's his lowest common denominator. He throws that final cruel personal insult at Glass about his son. Maybe you should have raised a man instead of some girly little bitch.
And that's it. Any shred of moral ambiguity is gone. Fitzgerald is irredeemable.
The fight is just primal. It's brutal. Desperation versus vengeance. They both get gravely injured, but Glass, fueled by that single-minded purpose.
That trunk-like stability.
Exactly. He finally gets the upper hand. He has Fitzgerald pinned. He's ready to deliver the final killing blow.
And this is the absolute crisis point for him, the culmination of everything he's endured. He's about to be consumed by that revenge he's been chasing.
And he's stopped. Not by his own conscience, but by an external force. The Arikara arrive. The same group that's been searching for Powaka.
And in that moment, he remembers the wisdom of that Pawnee man who helped him survive.
Right. The Pawnee man who had lost his own family but told Glass, revenge is in the Creator's hands.
So Glass makes this final, defining choice. Instead of killing Fitzgerald himself, he pushes him downstream into the hands of the Arikara leader.
He delegates the vengeance. He lets them enact their own justice on this man who represents all the treachery and corruption that cost them so much.
And Fitzgerald's final words are just dripping with cynicism. He's trying to poison Glass's victory.
You came all this way just for your revenge, huh? Well, you enjoy it, Glass, because there ain't nothing going to bring your boy back.
And Glass's answer is just, it's so quiet, but so powerful. He agrees, no, it won't.
He knows it. He has chosen peace over the satisfaction of killing, but the cost, the loss of his son, that's absolute. It never goes away.
Yeah.
What a journey. I mean, when you step back and look at the whole thing, this deep dive really shows you how it all connects.
Right, it starts with resource scarcity, those overloaded 30 pelt bales.
And you combine that with the brutal reality of the territory, and then you add the catalyst, Fitzgerald's personal greed and his racism. And it turns a desperate situation into this profound moral tragedy.
And I think the key takeaway for you listening to this is just how fragile expertise and leadership can be when faced with a powerful financial incentive.
Exactly. Hugh Glass was their most valuable asset, a trusted guide. And his value was completely erased by that $300 offer.
The branches, as the metaphor goes, Fitzgerald and Bridger, they were just too easily swayed by greed and fear. They were the group's real undoing, not the grizzly or the Arikara.
That tree metaphor really is everything. In those extreme conditions, the most important survival tool wasn't tracking skill. It wasn't authority. It was moral stability.
That strong, trunk-like endurance.
And Fitzgerald's desperate lying branches, they just snapped at the first real test. It guaranteed his own downfall.
He could never see beyond the immediate cash, the immediate threat, the immediate need to silence a witness.
But Glass somehow found a way to transcend all that unimaginable trauma by rooting down into that inner strength until his purpose was done.
But we should end on that final provocative thought, building on that resolution out in the snow.
The Pawnee Man's words, "Revenge is in the Creator's hands," which Glass seems to adopt when he lets Fitzgerald go.
Right. But the people who actually carry out that divine justice are the Arikara. And they're not acting on behalf of a creator, they're acting on their own parallel quest for vengeance, for the loss of Powaka.
So the question is, does that mean human justice and divine justice sometimes align? Especially when both are driven by an equally profound and righteous sense of loss.
Or is it more cynical than that? Was Glass just delegating the dirty work? Was he simply outsourcing his own act of vengeance to avoid the personal moral cost of becoming a killer himself?
And in doing so, preserving his own soul, his ability to remain that stable trunk.
What ultimately is the price of true peace after a loss that deep? That's the question you have to sort of carry with you out of this wilderness.
Thank you for joining us for this intense deep dive. We hope this gives you a new perspective on motivation and morality when everything is on the line.
Until next time, keep digging.